Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs recorded for the African Father in America podcast. I am live and direct with you on YouTube, and this morning I have a very, very special guest here with me, Makuba Masango Acha, who is an amazing leader, an agility mind shift speaker, and also a coach and a public health advisor. Makuba and I have interacted for quite a while on Clubhouse, and we've also collaborated. I remember us collaborating on Africa Day, and today we are, doing an interview for the African Father in America podcast, which is something we have planned it for a while. It took us a few months to get this in the books, and finally it's here. So Makuba, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Simon. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, and today we are taking a journey to Malawi. Malawi is a beautiful country. I've been to Malawi a few times, and I've lived in Malawi in 3 different occasions. Before I continue, I want to make sure that I pinned this live stream link to the top of the Clubhouse room so that you can join me there. You can join me and Makuba live on YouTube. And then as we continue on with our conversation today, I just have a couple of, takeaways for you to consider. For those who are joining us now live on Clubhouse and YouTube, and also for those of you who are going to listen to our episode of the African Father in America podcast later on over the weekend or in the future. We are going to look at 3 things that you could take away from the proverb that I'm going to share with you right after. The first thing that I hope you can take away is that the first thing is you can't take anything for granted. You can't take anything for granted. Number 2, it's easy to get caught up in the moment and forget about how your actions will affect others. And then number 3, mistreating the things you depend on only leads to a negative cycle of consequences. So think about those. I'll repeat them as we continue on with our conversation, but I want to focus on my special guest today, Makuba Masango. Makuba, when you hear this proverb from Malawi, which says, kick away the ladder and your feet are left dangling. Kick away the ladder and your feet are left dangling. When you think about this proverb, or when you hear it, what is it that comes to your mind? Especially as, with the work that you do, what does it remind you about?
Thank you very much, Simon. Good morning again, everyone. So growing up in Cameroon, West Africa, I always used to travel to the northwest part of the country where my mother is from. And when I looked at this proverb this morning, it took me back to an inspirational time in my childhood. You see, the ladder in the African context was very symbolic because of its functionality. I remember as a little girl, I would go to the villages and you could see the men holding their machetes and jugs on their backs. And they would walk miles because they needed to go to the farms to tap the local brewery, which was palm wine. And I remember having an uncle who would diligently and faithfully always bring me some because I loved palm wine as a little girl. I often wondered how he would climb those tall trees that sometimes could grow as tall and over 50 feet. You see, the ladder in life and still today in the African culture is a strong support system. The analogy can be applied today when we move to the West, when immigrants move to different parts of the world and they go through different journeys. We always want to reach out for our own so that they can be able to be that support system to help us acclimate the culture and the new way of life that we've adopted as we've left our homes. So, inspirational in this context, it's very important to us to understand and challenge ourselves to understand that our ladders have to be into strong foundation. The support system, when you're climbing a ladder, ask yourself whether it's in your career or it's in your family, or you've called to any kind of leadership or your own ministry, where are you going and who are you going with? And the last question is that ladder strong? Because if it's not, the ladder will fall and your feet will dangle. This is Makuba and I'm complete. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. You're not complete yet. I still have so many questions to ask you, but it's true. It's true. What you say reminds me of our topic on Clubhouse, which is don't take anything for granted. And that is also, the first lesson that I want us to take away from our conversation today. If you're just joining us, my special guest, who you can only see if you're on YouTube, is Makuba Masango Archer. And Makuba is an incredible leader, an agility mind shift speaker and coach, and also a public health advisor. And Makuba does amazing work in the Gulf of Guinea. We will talk about that in a moment. But for now, Makuba, I want you to take us back down memory lane to a story of your childhood that still inspires you today with all the many things you do. But before you share that, I just want to remind our friends and our families and our village that are with us on Clubhouse. I would love for you to just take a moment and ping people into this room, ping 5 people into this room. And if you don't know how to ping people, the best way to do that is to tap the second button on the left at the bottom of your screen. Once you click that, you will be able to invite people into this room, and you can also share this conversation within and outside of Clubhouse. That's one thing I would love for you to do for me. And if you are on YouTube, I would love for you to take a moment, share the link to this live stream, and also see what M. Jewel is doing over there on YouTube. She always warms my heart just by her amazing comments. She has also welcomed you, Makuba. M. Jewel, I need to see your face and host you one of these days. Your support is just so incredible. And as we continue on with the conversation, I also want to invite you all who are on Clubhouse to join us on the stage so that we can hear your voices in just a moment. So now we want to come back to you, Makuba. Share with us, this one story that consistently comes up for you whenever you're facing difficulty in life. It's one thing that reminds you that, oh, Makuba, you can do this. Talk to us about that.
When my father was 19 years old, the country of Cameroon had just gotten independence, and all he wanted to do was become a mechanical engineer and come to the US. But unfortunately for him, his father got hurt on the police force, was poisoned, and had to retire. So that put his family in abject poverty, and he did not give up his dream. When he graduated from the technical college at the time, he needed to be able to get a US visa to come and study. But unfortunately, in Cameroon, visas were not being issued. And so he got on a boat to Nigeria. And when he got there, he had no money. So he began a journey of over 1,400 kilometers from Nigeria to Liberia to get a visa. Upon working there for a year, because he had the technical know-how as a mechanic, he raised some money. On the day that he arrived at the US Embassy, he met Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson told him, Mr. Masango, you don't have enough money to come to the United States, so I cannot give you a visa. But my father knelt down and said, Mr. Wilson, please do not do this, for if you do this, you would have changed the generation of a family. Long story short, my father arrived to the United States, became that mechanical engineer, worked for the State Department building the F-1 battle tanks, and here I am today. Every time I look at my story, because in order to have something, you must do something different, and then you become something as well. Sometimes we are limited on what we see as eyesight, and we don't activate the creative power we have in our minds to our mind sight. Sometimes we feel as Africans that we are limited by our environment based on everything that is going on. But the world is changing. We have the power to create our own destination and our own destiny. So I draw inspiration from that because I tap it back to my ancestors. And I tap their power and strength that they've been able to go through. And I'm living proof that anything is possible.
You are. And your voice, when you speak, the first time I heard you speak, I was like, I need to hear again,
Thank you, Simon.
You do speak with the power of your ancestors. And, you also speak with the voice that is going to be left behind after you're gone, similar to Bob Marley, Fela Kuti, Chinua Achebe. The work that you do is going to, leave many, many stamps that, many of us are going to remember you for. So keep up. I have to mute Steve, who just joined us on the stage there. But I want to say that there's just a little more I want you to share with us, especially when it comes to your work. I want you to break it down for us, especially the work that you do as an agility mind shift, speaker, the work that you do as a coach, the work that you do as a public health advisor, and also this work that you do taking young people and families to the Gulf of Guinea. Just break it down and take your time so that anybody who is listening can either learn and join your course, also learn, to do it for themselves.
Thank you very much, Simon. So every time I introduce myself and I say I am an agility mind shift speaker and coach, people always ask, what is that? Well, first of all, when I tell you that you're agile, what does that mean? It means given in every circumstance, you are able to move, you're able to conquer, and you're able to soar above the storm. Many people talk about mindset, but when I go to mindset and I look at athletes, when they want to run a 400-meter race and the referee stands there and says, on your mark, get set. If you're set and you do not go, then what are you doing? So I come in as an agility mind shift speaker and coach, not only to get your mind set and leave you there, but also to shift you into a higher gear. So whether that's professionally, organizations would hire me so that their teams can high perform. Individuals work with me because they want to overcome and transform themselves. But in the same place, they're being agile, they're being flexible. So they are not stagnant. And in the public health space, I design and implement healthcare programs. My work originally started with the CDC here in Atlanta, Georgia. And at the time, I was called to work on Ebola. But there were a lot of epidemics in Africa happening. And I realized we were not having enough representation as Africans in these causes to be sent. And we were the ones who would be able to slowly and surely understand the various cultures. We did have the skill set. We spoke different languages, but we were not creating a community in which we could network. So one of my greatest accomplishments is when I created the Organization of African Public Health Professionals at the CDC. And that brought together over 300 Africans of various skill sets to serve the CDC and the US government when we have outbreaks of this nature. So I've taken my love for information technology and healthcare and created agility mindshift programs to help women and children in professionally and personally. Now, along the coast of the Gulf of Guinea, we have about 6 African countries. So that's Cameroon, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea. And as part of me loving so much to give back, I create retreats for women and children who would travel along the coast of the Gulf of Guinea as we begin to educate ourselves on the slave roads. We also enjoy ourselves in authentic West African cuisine. And then also, the children and women begin to develop different entrepreneurial skills to be able to tap into their creativity. So it's a fun program, and I have a group of people that will be traveling in July, and I'm still taking applications for those. So that's what I do in a nutshell. I hope I answered your questions correctly.
Yes, yes, you did, you did. I love what you're able to do to bring together, African people at the CDC, and one of the things that we were talking about before this conversation, before we went live, was your travels in Kenya, including the garment that you're covering yourself with right now.
Yes. Yes.
But the CDC has its biggest presence in Africa in Kisumu, my hometown. So
Yes, I've been there.
So talk to us about your travels, especially in Kenya, and also one of the things that recently I have been faced by is the impact of organizations like the CDC in Africa, the Gates Foundation, especially in the wake of the current pandemic. There is a lot of mistrust with organizations like this. So as an African who is very, very passionate about our people, how do you navigate between working for a big institution like that and still representing our people fully, and also how do you ensure that some of the programs that you guys are rolling out are really are the best for our people?
That's a very great question. And one of the things I'm a firm believer is in communities. As Africans, we need to come to a point together where all these organizations are doing good work. That is true. But this is our home, this is our community. How do we develop? And you're only as strong as your community. Thus, the issue of the Malawian proverb when I talk about ladders. We need to be able, as Africans, to come together and create our own communities. If you're in Kisumu, for example, what would it be like to help a health community that reaches the people where these big organizations cannot reach? There is a gap there. And so that is why one of the programs that I worked with in Kenya was going out to the local people, explaining and trying to understand their culture and understand their problems, and seeing who are the volunteers that would be able to help in making sure that there are positive health outcomes for everyone. It's not just about sitting and waiting for aid, because healthcare is a very, very complicated resource. It's not as though you can go to the store and just pick up a dress. When I come to Kisumu, the health problems that are happening there based on either the camels and what needs to be done will be different from a place like Douala or different from a place like Accra. So we have to start by strengthening our communities, and we have to start by creating creative ways so that we do not have brain drain in our countries, so that we lack the skill set.
Thank you very much, Makuba. I have so many other questions to ask, but we have a structure of our conversation today, so I'll stick to it.
Okay.
But also, I want you to, in a moment, just speak to, why it's important. This is a conversation that we will be having every Wednesday at 11:15 a.m. with our room here on Clubhouse, where we are bringing travel enthusiasts together. We are collaborating with you. We are collaborating with with Lavender, who is actually on Clubhouse right now. We are collaborating with Aduoa from Ghana, Joseph Kafunda from Namibia, Charles Kishi from the Congo, and many other people. We are in one WhatsApp group. I want you to think about why it's important for us to come together and do that kind of work, where we are all running our own initiatives, but at the same time we know that at the end of the day we are trying to change the narrative about travel in Africa and to or outside of Africa. Traveling to Africa, if you're in the US, is like a mystery. If you tell somebody that I'll go to Africa, in next month, you're almost telling them that I'm going to Mars, because they don't know how you're going to get there. It's a mystery to them. And also what the media says about Africa scares people, scares people, so that people don't even want to look further than the news, But there are many of us who are actually investing our time and energy and our talent in ensuring that it's not only demystified when it comes to the travel to and from Africa, but also it is simplified. So I want you to think about that. But for a moment, I just want to come back to our Clubhouse community here. In just a few minutes, Lavender and Melikia and Steve and Sensors, we are going to hear from you. But I also want to encourage, Sarah and Laron and Zize and Brother to join us on the stage, because in 6 minutes, I will be closing hand raising. And then also for all of you, please ping in 5 people into the room. And I think you all know how to do that. Just ping in 5 people, share our conversation on other platforms, and let's continue growing this village, one proverb at a time. For those who are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. I am seeing, Mjewel continuing to engage with us here, and I just want to read some of the comments that she's sharing with us. First, she was just curious whether Makuba works with Dr. Chiombori Kwao. I think Ambassador Chiombori, right?
Yes.
Right. So you'll respond to that whenever you have a minute, when you're responding to the next question. And then, there's just some amazing comments that Mjewel is sharing with us that if you're not on YouTube, you actually need to come and see. I can't read all of them, but I want you to respond to that one now if you can, and then respond to the question about travel.
Yes, I'm familiar with Dr. Chambori's work. It's fascinating. I was opportuned to meet Dr. Chambori, and there are people who are giving so much to this planet. It makes you begin to wonder, how much left do you have? I say live full and die empty. So back to the issue of travel. I came to this country in the United States when I was 19 years old. And permit me to say that I did not know what the N word means. Now, to some people, that might be very, very strange. But why would I? I was living in an environment for the majority of my adult life where looking like me was not a problem. I wasn't constantly reminded that this was a problem. So when I came to the US, I didn't know what that means and moved around ignorantly. But when you look at the other minorities in the United States who have had to deal with issues of systemic racism or different policies over the years, you see, for us to change, we must go back in history and learn from the past. You realize, just like I was the African girl in Cameroon, I did not understand the depths of how slavery and generational history was wiped out from my Black American counterparts. And at the same time, they lived it here. Now that we live in an environment whereby one person can have a disease in a little African country and it is spread all over like Ebola, or one person can have a disease in somewhere else and bam, we have the coronavirus. It is important for us to come together as Africans to change the narrative. Because for the longest time, when I did come here, all I saw was that Africans live on less than $1 a day. It became a national anthem all the time. But we know that that's not true. So, how do we change the narrative? Is by building this community to teach people, especially those of African ancestry, that hey, there are other sides to Africa besides what you see on television. And that provides massive value. I'm working with some youths right now in Cameroon where they're taking technologies to different levels, and they call it Silicon Mountain, for example. Via my podcast on Journey with Me to Africa, we share inspirational stories of each African country, which makes people understand the fun facts and the different facets of Africa. And travel is another way of education. It is beautiful. But my 9 year old daughter, when she's in school, I'll give you a funny example and then I'll stop. When I took her to Cameroon this Christmas, and one of her teachers says, "Oh, yes, Africa, is that a state?" And she gets so upset. It's a continent. This is a 9 year old. So we have to bridge that educational gap and provide massive value because the continent of Africa is beautiful, it is diverse, and there's so much we can do together as a community that simplifies travels for people who want that authentic educational and cultural experience. Thank you, Simon.
Of course, of course, of course. Thank you. Thank you so much. And now, for a moment, Makuba, I would love for you to grab a pen and a notepad if you don't have it already, because we want to hear from our friends who are on stage as speakers on Clubhouse, and then you'll just share with us what you heard, and then after that I want you to share with us how we can support your work, how we can stay connected with you. So stay with me, don't go anywhere, but take some notes so that we can hear from Lavender and Melikia and
Okay.
Steven and Sensors. And the hand raising is still on for the next minute or so. I'll turn it off in a moment. So Lavender, when you hear the conversation I was having here with Makuba, Masango, Acha, what comes to your mind? What is it that you heard that you want to speak about? And also the proverb that we are discussing today from Malawi: kick away the ladder and your feet are left dangling. What do you have to say about it? And also, where are you joining us from? Thank you so much.
Hello, hi everyone. This is Lavender. I'm joining in from Kenya. So so from what I get from today's proverb, kick away the ladder and your feet are left dangling. What I get from that proverb is those people who hold our hands as we level up or move up, we shouldn't forget them or turn our backs on them, because you might easily fall back down if you forget the people who put you on. And what I got from, I'm very inspired by Makuba's journey and her story. Like, the more I interact with her, the more I listen to her, the more I am curious and the more I want to get to know her. And there's this last phrase she said about um, giving everything to the world, or experiencing. I can't say it word by word, but it was something like giving to the world and leaving empty-handed, like live to the fullest. And like at the end of it, you feel satisfied in life when you live fully and freely. And that's it for now. Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you, Lavender. I love that. Yeah, I think what you're saying is dying empty. That it's a really powerful statement. I've heard it before, but the way Makuba said it was quite, profound. So Makuba, if you want, you can share that later on again. But for now, we want to.
Please.
Okay.
I think I'd like to note it down and keep it as a reminder.
Okay,
Thank you.
Makuba. Maybe I'll let you speak to that dying empty quote that you shared earlier. Do you want to share it now and then we go to Melikia? Okay. We'll come back to Makuba in a moment. Melikia, how are you doing? I think Makuba is having audio issues, but Melikia, thank you again for hosting me tonight. It's going to be tonight. Speak about what's coming up tonight, and then I also want you to speak about I want you to speak about this conversation with Makuba. What is it that you've heard that you want to comment on? And also this proverb, the proverb from Malawi. The proverb says, kick away the ladder and your feet are left dangling. And also let us know where you're joining us from. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Grand Rising, everybody. I am always blessed to be in your space whenever I am able to be here. So this has been an amazing conversation. And to follow direction, tonight you'll be joining us in the club called Partners in Rhyme at 8 p.m. The room is called Lyrical Vibes. And Simon is going to be featured and share his beautifulness, information about his book, live, some music, some poetry, and it's just going to be a great night. So that takes care of that. As far as the proverb, it reminds me of curating community and curating relationships. Like when you fail to take care of the people around you, when you fail to be water and bread for them, especially for those who are water and bread for you, everybody's hungry. The starvation occurs and the death of the relationship occurs. So for me, reading that, it was a reminder to make sure that I am loving the people around me, showing up for them and caring for them so that I don't have to worry about if I fall down or fall down a hole and I need a ladder to climb out. I don't have one, so just to be loving. That's the reminder that I got from that. And especially my book is titled The Ladder, so of course that touched my heart, right? And hearing Miss Makuba has been that water and that bread for my heart. It's there were so many amazing things that were shared when she began to speak about traveling to Africa, the things, the pathway that was created for the women, the experience, and being able to go home, the ignorance and understanding excuse me, that Africa is a continent, not a state. There is so much ignorance surrounding Africa from Black folks in America. There's so much that we don't know. My heart is to travel back to Africa and to experience and to learn. And my brother's been a couple of times. We have land over there. His wife is there. Blah blah blah. And then Nana is over there too. Nana Whitaker, who I have a relationship with over in Ghana. He's a chieftain. So I have many ties home. I just haven't been, right? So my heart is inspired and encouraged and pulled to come and be an experience. You also said one of my favorite names on the planet, Ambassador Chimbori. I love her. She is, I had a small opportunity to engage her face to face, and it was wonderful. She is incredible and beautiful. And this conversation, again, like God sends me reminders. So this is a reminder for me to reach out and just say hi and see how she is as well. She does amazing things and very much an inspiration for me. Also, when Makuba began to speak about not knowing what the N word was, for me, it made me wonder, like in a heart like God, I would love to know what it feels like to wake up and not have a daily reminder of how unwelcome I am or people that look like me are. And it's not just in America, right? It's across the diaspora. I see how we are treated. And I am one of those people, like my heart is open and my eyes are open to that. So I see and I act when I'm hearing these things across the globe. Because I want to see us elevated, growing, understanding, and doing on purpose, working to understand, love, know, and support one another. That's very important to me. And that is why I do the work that I do. That is why I work with women. And of course, specifically with domestic violence and trauma and pain release. But still, I have a high emphasis on folks that look like me because my skin is this color and it's important to me. So thank you, Makuba, for all of the beautiful work that you are doing. I look forward to the day when I can stand belly to belly with you and hug your neck, because this is what you're doing is beautiful. And even understanding the work that you did with the CDC, understanding the agile coaching, and my cousin is a scrum master. That's a whole new world to me within the last 2 years. So I am learning a lot and doing my best to be my best so that my impact lasts after I'm gone. Like Brother Simon was saying, it's just important. So thank you both, Brother Simon and Ms. Makuba, for an incredible conversation, a thought-provoking conversation to begin my day with and to be focused. And I'm grateful, and I yield the mic.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melikia, for your wonderful contribution to our conversation today. And to Tula and anyone who is just joining us, thank you again for making the time. Shomari, Abrafi, Johnny, brother, nice to see you all. Laron, Zize, nice to see you. I just turned off hand raising, so that means we will primarily hear from those who are already on stage. And now we are discussing a proverb from Malawi. Malawi is a very beautiful country, but also a very mystic country. I think it's the smallest country in Africa and one of the smallest countries in the world. But it has the hottest pepper, maybe the hottest pepper in the world. And Lake Malawi also is, I think it's one of the deepest freshwater lakes in the world. It's just a beautiful place to be in. And Malawi also has some of the weirdest juju stories and practices. So, check out Malawi, learn more. The music from Malawi is also really, really amazing. And if you're a Kiswahili speaker, in Malawi they speak Chechewa, which is not so different from Kiswahili. Now we want to go to you, Steve. thank you again for your consistency in supporting the Daily African Proverbs. When you hear this proverb, what comes to your mind? Kick away the ladder and your feet are left dangling. Share with us your thoughts and also where you're joining us from. And feel free to add any comments to the conversation we are having here with my special guest, Makuba Masango Acha.
Hello everyone, I'm Steven joining from Kenya, Kisumu. I'm currently at our offices in Manyata. So if you hear loud music in the background, those are youths practicing and dancing and enjoying making use of the space we are offering them. My understanding with today's proverb, I will pick it from Kay's comment on YouTube. And to me, the proverb is all about gratitude. It's all about maintaining the bridges that we've crossed to be where we are today, and making good use of the opportunity that we get. Because there's a saying that also goes that opportunity comes once. So if it knocks and you don't make good use of it, you might want the opportunity again in future, but it will be nowhere to be found. And that also reminds me, many years back, I got scholarship, but then I was, I was, I was still a youth. I was still not uh, sure with what I want in life, and the scholarship slipped off my hands. So once I started facing life and knowing the importance of paying school fee for my kids and how you have to sweat and struggle to keep your kids in school. And this kept on coming back to my mind that I got the opportunity to be schooled in university uh, just like that, and left it slip off my hand. And right now I'm yearning to go back to school and I can't get that opportunity. I'm going through websites, applying, submitting applications every day to get opportunity, but uh, no even response, no feedback coming back to my inbox. So I'm like, God, why didn't you open my eye when I had that chance? So that's what this wonderful proverb have reminded me of. Uh, Opportunity knocks once, and if you don't grab it and make good use of it and hold it dearly to your heart, you might want it in future, and it will be nowhere to be found. Thank you for this opportunity, Simon. Back to you. Peace and love.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve. I love that. I love your perspectives and I appreciate you for all that you do for One Vibe Africa as well. Hey, Sensors, how are you? Where are you joining us from today? And what are your thoughts on the proverb and the conversation with Makuba?
Hi, Simon. Good morning, Makuba, Lavender, Maliki, Steve, and everyone who's listening. Thank you for this opportunity to connect with you. Makuba, I love listening to you. You have such a depth of knowledge, and health and African progress is something that's also close to my heart. So I am so happy that you are doing that. And I did not catch all your conversations, but I caught the part of the work you are doing in the African continent. And I wanted to add regarding this proverb, you know, when when you talked about moving to America and listening to these words and pretty much starting your life here, but then you also talked about taking your daughter back home so that she also reconnects. I find that sometimes we move here and think we have to Americanize ourselves to be accepted or something like that, and cut off what we were or where we're from. And this to me is simply what the proverb is saying, you know. And when we cut that other part of us off, it's impossible for us to live a life where we are fully within our essence and where we are entrenched within our identity. And the truth is, no matter how much you fake to exist, you will never be fully accepted. You are better off being authentic to you, which means keeping that ladder there, connecting with your source, whether it's your family, whether it's your home, whether it's your land, regardless of where you're from. Keeping that connection going, that is perhaps what even allows you to progress, um, and to move forward and live in all the different manners you want to live in your life. This is Sense as I'm complete.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sensors. I was to call you yesterday, but I failed, so forgive me. I'll try today.
Simon, you're forgiven. You were busy with that dinner. I was so jealous. I'm like, why isn't Seattle close by? I would be there.
Yeah, you can join virtually. You know, we might make a Clubhouse version of this dinner series just to share the sounds of the plates and the beautiful conversations, but not to share the food. You know, you know, we will have shared
Simon,
just.
that's very mean, Simon. I wouldn't want to hear the plates and what the food tastes like. I'll cry.
Yeah, but just to give sensors and everybody who wish they were there just a little appetite to make them salivate so that when we do it near you, you don't miss it. I'm just joking. But I'm grateful, Sensors, for your leadership. Do you have anything going on in the Africa Day Club tomorrow morning?
Yes, so we will be meeting again to discuss the roadmap for the next Africa Day that's coming up. And the aim is to really bring people who are interested in being part of Africa Day planning, discuss the different programs that we have in mind. And you know, a lot of things are currently happening, whether it's in Africa or with Africans in the diaspora. So we are looking forward to it. We're also busy looking for a theme that will best signify the type of conversations we have on Clubhouse. The African Union theme is nutrition. It's related to nutrition and food. So we are looking at what can we use, what kind of theme can we bring from that and input it into our Africa Day on Clubhouse. To all those who don't know, Africa Day happens on the 25th of May each year. And so, yes, welcome everyone. Come over, give us your viewpoints, and tell us how you want to also support it. This is Census I'm Complete.
Wonderful, Sensors. You see, Lavenda has not changed her profile picture since the last Africa Day, and I think we should all just use the same ones because they still look really, really good. So, Lavenda, thank you for representing. And now, Makuba, we are back to you. What is it that you had in the room that you want to share with us? And Makuba is now on Clubhouse in the room. Please remember to follow her so that you can continue staying engaged with her. Makuba is my special guest today, originally from Cameroon, currently here in the US in Atlanta, Georgia, doing amazing work. We talked a lot about some of the great things that she's doing. If you missed it, you can listen to the replay, or you can catch this podcast, the African Father in America podcast, across all podcasting platforms or on YouTube. We are live and direct on YouTube right now. And if you're on Clubhouse, you can tap the link at the top of the room and you will see our faces. And also later on, you can watch it. And remember to subscribe to the channel. Now, Makuba, I'll pass you the microphone.
Thank you, Simon. I recognize my headphones was acting up. So while you can see me, those of you that are on YouTube, I am speaking via audio on my phone. So I hope everyone can hear me okay.
Yes, we hear you very well. It sounds great.
Okay.
Perfect. So, what I've been able to gather today has just been so incredible. I learn from the audience every day I come into this room, and I appreciate all of you. Lavender, you mentioned about the community, feeding into the community in the way, in the direction you're going so that you can be strong. I thought that was phenomenal. Um, Malikia, you said that loving people around you and caring for them so that you can have a strong ladder if you need it. That's critical. And sometimes we have a tendency to forget that. And Stephen says we need to make use of the opportunities. Opportunities comes but once. And so we need to don't break your bridges. So don't break your ladders on the way up because on the way down you may not have one. And census, I love yours because you just paraphrased on what it means today to be authentic to who you are. It's very stressful and burdensome to pretend to be someone that you are not. Currently, I am in the process of doing a book project, which will be representing 30 Africans, for those of you that may be interested, that begin to share their immigration stories to the US or to Europe and how that inspires and equips and empower others and share their journeys. And I think it's very critical to be very, very authentic to who you are, because if you're comfortable with yourself, you have to be the change in yourself that you want to see in others. Thank you, Simon.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Makuba, for making the time for today's conversation. I would love for you to share with us how we can, support the work that you do, and also how we can stay connected with you, especially for those who are connecting with you for the first time today.
Well, you can listen into my Journey with Me to Africa podcast. That is for, it helps parents when they're driving with their children as they learn about inspirational cultural stories from the continent. I am also on Instagram, and I also have projects in my Linktree account if you want to support. I just finished co-authoring a book called Embracing Imperfections, Volume 2. And that book is compiling women from all over the world as they share different obstacles that they've have to overcome to inspire. All the proceeds of that book goes to the Cameroon Coding Kuba Kingdom Camp in Cameroon, which will be launched this summer. So thank you all very much. And I look forward to talking and working with you all as we collaborate together to make Africa more beautiful than what it is right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Makuba. I appreciate, your contributions, the time, and just all the work that you do. I want to quickly read a couple of comments on YouTube before we wrap up. Number one is from K Benjamin, who is an amazing supporter of this space. She says, the proverb is about gratitude for me. We must appreciate how and who got us where we are because it is the right thing to do. That's so simple but really, really profound. So thank you for that. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, you could, and you can catch a lot of other amazing comments. I just wanted to pull that out and also use that to recognize your presence, K Benjamin. And also back to Clubhouse, thank you Stella and Johnny, Tandisizwe, Roger, Tula, Brafi, Brothers, Zize, and Laron, and of course the wonderful speakers from today, Sensor, Steve, Malikia, Lavender, and Makuba. Remember that I will be a guest on Malikia's platform today. Malikia, just repeat that for a second for anyone who might have just joined us.
Absolutely. So tonight in the club titled Partners in Rhyme, Scott Harrell and I are going to be hosting this time and very, very excited about it. That begins at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and the room is titled Lyrical Vibes. Club Partners in Rhyme, room Lyrical Vibes, featuring Simon tonight, and we do have an open mic that wraps around Simon. So if you want to come share poetry, a song, something you're passionate about, except from a book, you are welcome to the microphone. Heads up, the first hour or so is kind of chill, and then it's open to however anyone cares to express. It gets colorful, the crayons come out. That's my warning.
Nice. I can't wait. I will, spread the word. We are going to be posting about it today. And I just appreciate the opportunity. And so with that, we are wrapping up our last session of the week. We've been at this since Monday, and I just appreciate you all. Makuba, we did this, it's now in the books, and
Yes, I'm so happy we finally did.
Yeah. So we will just look forward to the next project. But I'm really, really grateful to everyone who is watching. If you're watching this later on or listening to it later on, I truly appreciate you, for your support. With that, thank you again. Take good care of yourselves. Remember these 3 takeaways that I shared at the beginning of our conversation. Number 1, and these are aligned with the proverb from Malawi that has been the center of our conversation today. This proverb says, "Kick away the ladder and your feet are left dangling." So the first lesson is you can't take anything for granted. Number 2, it's easy to get caught up in the moment and forget about how your actions will affect others. Number 3, mistreating the things you depend on only leads to a negative cycle of consequences. For example, you mistreat your car and it starts to break down. You mistreat your body and you get sick. You mistreat your phone and it runs out of battery. The list goes on and on and on. So just pay attention to that as we go into the weekend. And, remember to take care of yourself. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okelo, live from Seattle, Washington.